Hello, hello, hello. This is. Oh, wait, you already know who I am. I guess I'm just gonna do a just me talking video right now because too much news, so little time, and I just can't edit all this shit right now and do it all at once because it's just like all this crazy shit is happening all at once. First of all, PlayStation Network still down, from what I understand. I'll let you know if there's difference, or then somebody puts down in the description on the video saying the PlayStation Network is back up, you dumbass. Uh, I don't keep up with current news, but all I know is that, well, when Sony was installing their security systems on whatever system they were putting their PlayStation Network on, well, let me put it to you this way. When you're installing any kind of Linux distro, BSD distro, whatever, well, mostly Linux distros, especially something like Red Hat, you have the selection board somewhere along the installing process that asks you what type of securities you want to activate, and the ones you don't click are usually, or I don't know how it goes now, are usually the ones that are disabled or not installed because that's the way it works with most of these systems. You can not have something installed, or you can have it installed and just disabled, or whatever. And most likely, Sony just didn't bother clicking most of them on, and that would be pretty fucking dumb. But then again, I wouldn't put it past Sony, Mister. Yeah, let's put rootkits into those laptops. Yeah, that should work. Yeah, that will work really well. And like I said, I did not care about putting fucking um that fucking whole putting installing Linux or other OS on the PS3, and I don't see the big deal. I mean, so what? They're just going to install another OS on the PS3 illegally. Whatever. I mean, Apple, why, if you don't know, I think the most recent new on the Apple's anti-jailbreaking software, which was a couple of years ago, was that they tried to put in some anti-jailbreaking software and then got sued, or was told by I think the Supreme Court justice that, well, it was illegal to have that software in there, and that people can do whatever they want to the hardware, which technically is correct. I mean, people bought that hardware, and it's their hardware to do whatever they want. I mean, literally, it's their shit. They own it. I mean, Apple made it, but that doesn't give them the right to control it afterwards. And after that, I haven't really heard hardware. All they do now is just do firmware updates that try to block out the jailbreaking software, but that all the jailbreakers do is update their firmware to reinstate the jailbreaking software. So it's pretty much just an endless circle. But, and yes, I've seen other OSs installed in fucking iPod touches, iPhones, and crap like that. Just look at it on YouTube. And I've seen other OSs installed on fucking Xboxes and Xbox 360s. Um, and of course, Connects isn't supposed. Microsoft going crazy over all those people who are trying to break into the Connects, only crap like that. I mean, we've been able to do it and do all this other shit for years. I don't really see the big deal. Once you can do it on one, you can pretty much do it on all. But like I said, I don't give a flying fuck, and it was really just no business of mine, and I don't really get why everybody's so upworked about it. Yeah, Sony's tried to get all the IPs of everybody who downloaded the instructions of how to hack the fucking PS3. But then again, it's mostly Sony's fault for using weak hardware, and that's another thing. why is it such a big deal to put it on such weak hardware? I mean, everybody keeps saying, but the PS3 is the most powerful of them all. No, it's not. No. First of all, the cell processor is dead. IBM just killed it not that long ago. And its graphics card is literally old. I mean, seriously. I mean, when the PlayStation 3 came out, the graphics processor inside the PS3 is literally last gen. Yes, their cell processor can run next gen fucking graphics, but their cell processor's dead. I mean, I do like some of the rumors I'm hearing about Sony wanting to restructure their entire infantry and this whole mess with Sony of Japan killing the PSP Go, and Sony of America still trying to keep the PSP Go going. I think kind of does run par with some of the rumors I've been hearing that maybe Sony of Japan is going to restructure Sony of America because, well, Sony of Japan home it's pretty much is Sony. So yeah, um, it's not gonna end well, and it'll probably. I mean, to me, I wouldn't be surprised if I hear firings over that idiotic disaster. I mean, speaking of bad business disasters, just go look at Marvel Comics and the fact that they still won't fire Joe Quesada. Sorry, uh, that just spit out. Well, anyways, and yeah, Nintendo just confirmed they're going to come out with their so-called quote-unquote Wii 2 or Project Cafe. Oh, goody! I get the why I'm thinking about the new next-gen console from Nintendo. I can also think about coffee beverages. Okay, the name's stupid, but I am happy that Nintendo's doing this. Yes, the name's stupid, Project Cafe, but everybody's still gonna call it Wii 2 until some actual name comes out. I don't know. Maybe they'll call it PII. That would be funny. Oh well, at least they didn't call it Project Direction. That would be awkward. Uh, and then there's a whole bunch of speculation on its hardware, touchscreens, and all that, which is kind of funny because those rumors were being touted to as the Apple gaming console rumors. And pretty much when I hear Apple gaming consoles rumors, I usually put that onto the absolute fantasy side because let's face it, Apple's never going to make a gaming console ever because you probably don't know this, but their game center, you can literally just hack Apple's game center and put in your own game score, which is pretty messed up right now. But when has Apple ever taken hardcore gaming seriously? And even when the Pippin came out, they technically fucked that one up pretty bad, mainly because they had no games for it. I mean, they had Bungie was there, but Bungie was there for Bungie, and of course they made that uh, marathon game. And yes, it's storming outside. If you could hear that. But yeah, Bandai, the other company that was making the Pippin, had to supply all the games, and anybody who knows Bandai couldn't make a game to save their own life, and pretty much it was all just pretty much like point and click games. That was all just one giant train wreck just waiting to happen, and of course a butt ugly controller. Of course, it was successful in Japan. Uh, yeah, the Pippin was successful in Japan, as odd as it was. But died a horrible, horrible death here in the U.S., right next to the Jaguar. Oh, okay, Jaguar died worse. But then again, they said that. And of course, I watched a video by Glock Ninja. Hey, Glock, understand your consoles. For the love of God, Glock, do your research before you say shit. When you said that the only hardcore gaming rig that Nintendo ever came up with was the regular NES, you have absolutely no clue on what you're talking about. And you say finally they're making one after the Super NES. I mean, after n- messing up on the Super NES, the Nintendo 64, and the GameCube. You basically said everything from the Super NES to the GameCube was all failures. Okay, that is so fucking beyond wrong. I don't even know where to begin. First of all, yes, the NES came out, and then finally the Sega Master System, which killed the Atari 2600. And the Atari 2600 was two generations old, and what the Atari 2600 did was it beat out every console out there, including its next generation, and then the 5600. Killed the it killed its own predecessor, and then it just wasn't. And then the whole video game, great video game crash of 1983, and then of course then Nintendo finally came up and finally destroyed the Atari 2600. But then the Sega Master System came out, which didn't last very long. And yes, the Sega Master System was more powerful, but they went on. But they Sega went up dropping the Sega Master System for the Sega Genesis, which was way more powerful. And then the Super NES came out, which was a lot more powerful. And they did clock the Super NES. It was more powerful than the Sega Genesis. And then Nintendo came out with the Nintendo 64, which was a lot more powerful than the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. And of course, its downside was its cartridge base instead of being CD base. And then, but it still made second place from what I understand. And then the GameCube came out, and the GameCube was more powerful than the PS2. And after the Dreamcast died, pretty much the GameCube was the most powerful console out there until the Xbox came out. But eh, the GameCube still held on to its second place, while the PlayStation was at first. Even though some people like to say imaginary stories that the Xbox was a success. The Xbox only had one successful game, and it really didn't have much until like the 360 came out, when Sony basically rolled out the PS3. With their with their processor that no developer could program for until Uncharted 2 came out, the cell processor. And technically on the tech, and of course it had horrible online, still has horrible online. And of course this whole PlayStation Network blackout just proves that Sony doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Basically, Sony is just a prime example of how Sony just basically keeps handing their own asses to Microsoft. And I'm hoping that the rumors are true that Sony is planning on doing a complete revision of everything, just rewriting everything, dumping the PS3, and even just dumping all the games and coming out with another console that has no cell processor, and or a very powerful Intel graphics processor, because that's what they've been rumored to do next on their PS4. And that they're just going to dump backwards compatibility with the PS3 altogether. Just go with PlayStation 1 and 2 and just pretend this PlayStation 3 never happened, because that thing was an embarrassment. And Sony is kind of bitter about being marked down from number one for two whole generations, and now being marked down to number three, to the third place, and they're not too happy. Yes, their sales are decent, but they want number one. They want to be number one, and of course, then you got the Microsoft rumors that they want to concentrate more on the Connect, and they're taking their lessons from the Nintendo Wii, and that's pretty much all I'm hearing. And but and they want to concentrate more on casual gamers because, well, that's where the market is. Even though some people don't want to say it and say some of the most oddest things I've ever heard, but that's the what I've been hearing in the rumors, and it's all just rumors. So, and of course, Apple's gaming console, which is pretty much pure fantasy, never gonna come out. Come on, The Apple has never owned a gaming developing company, has never even had published a game, never even made a game under their name. They, I mean, Bricklet Games was just released by another company, and they were just allowed to use it. But other than that, Apple taking gaming seriously, no. I mean, you got to understand when the iPod took off as a gaming device, as a handheld gaming device, they never really wanted it. I mean, the first iPod was nothing more than an internet browser, MP3 player, sharing pictures, and maybe having a couple of small web apps, which was limited to just one page. And then they later put on YouTube add-ons, but in they didn't even have an app store back on the original iPhone, iPod Touch, and hell, the iPod Touch, the first generation, it was completely and utterly useless. And there's nothing you could do with that thing. And everybody kept. And not only that, I mean, that whole game center, they were forced into that because OpenFaint, I believe it's what they're called, was pretty much just taking the business that should have been that Apple should have been monitoring from the start. And every company and every customer has been complaining to Apple, like, you got all these games on your iPod, but you're not doing any monitoring. Instead, you're letting some uh, another developing company do all that monitoring for you and doing all the achievements and putting all that shit in there, and you're just gonna stand there and pretty much. And I'll put Fate still on the fucking iPad and iPod Touch and iPhone, but yeah, they were forced to. Apple was finally forced to make the put Game Center in there because Apple was becoming a laughing stock, and other people were doing what Apple should have been doing from the beginning. So yeah, the gaming, and when they came time to actually come up with some kind of gaming console that would work with iOS devices, we got Apple TV, which does nothing except just play movies. Play fucking movies. Google TV is being integrated inside television sets right now. They've pretty much taken the multimedia department in that area. Who the fuck needs a fucking Apple TV add-on when you can just get it from your own television set through Google Television? That is fucking mind-blowingly dumb, Apple. And secondly, then they take out the hard drive. Oh, we're just going to use it for streaming. You can stream. I can do all of that shit on a fucking Xbox. And then turn off the fucking multimedia play and then play video games. Hell, I could do that on my Nintendo Wii. So why the fuck was the Apple TV made? Oh, just to sit there and watch a couple of high quality movies and that's it. Oh no, you can share your photos and stuff. Guess what? The Xbox can share photos. The Xbox can do all the fucking download movies and all that other shit. And it also plays fucking games. The fucking Wii can do all that too. It has an SD card. It can share photos. Hell, even the fucking PlayStation can do that. And it's got an SD card reader too, I think. So why is this goddamn device that? Oh yeah, the iTunes shop can be put on your television. Big fucking whoop. Guess what? Get a Mac Mini. There's your There's your iTunes shop. There's your iTunes right there on your television set. Just get a Mac Mini. It's got an HDMI connector on the back. It may be a little bit more expensive, but at least you got a hard drive, and at least you can fucking save your media. There's no point. There's nothing to defend on Apple TV. It has nothing except for shit that has been around and redone about 50 times over. Okay, that was my rant on Apple TV and why I think it's useless, and I'm taking up too much time. See you later.